Take a look at this room. Do you think it looks good? I certainly do. But could you put your finger on exactly what makes it look this good? Is it the sofa? Perhaps all the different decor pieces? If you wanted to achieve a similar vibe in your home, would you know where to start? As a design enthusiast who spends way too much time online looking at other people's homes, with me this happens all the time. So in this video, we're gonna put some design knowledge to test and do a breakdown of what exactly makes good-looking rooms look good. And so you can start applying some of these elements to make your own space feel more inviting. When I started learning interior design, examples were the best way for me to actually understand concepts. And that's why I decided to make this video. So if you like this format, please do let me know in the comments below so I can keep making videos that are actually useful for you guys. Alright, let's go. Alright, let's start with this one then. This looks to be a living room, and it is very well designed. It has a mix of classic elements with more creative ones, and this brings a sense of a timeless and sophisticated design. But why is that? Although a well-designed room is a result of several different components, let's break down some of the most important ones here. The first thing that I notice is that this is a very well-balanced room. Balance is the distribution of visual weight in a room to create a sense of harmony and stability. And it can be used using symmetry or asymmetry, but intentionally. This room beautifully mixes symmetrical and asymmetrical elements. The most obvious example of symmetry being the two tall bookshelves on this wall, with a statement art piece in the center. But in contrast, the furniture pieces are not laid out in a symmetrical way, and this contributes for the room to feel more creative. We have the large sofa on one side, the chaise lounge on the other, and a single accent chair here on the left. But altogether, all these elements fill up the room, leaving no awkward gaps, and one compensates the other. Look at what happens when we remove one bookshelf. Now the room is clearly unbalanced, since most pieces are here on the left. Removing this other shelf makes less of an impact, because we still have the tall lamp and the chair that gives weight to this side of the room. Removing the floor lamp changes the picture. For me, this would still work, but I do prefer the effect of the two tall bookshelves, filling up this wall with interesting pieces. And since we're talking about balance, let's not forget the importance of vertical balance. People often overlook the importance of adding elements of different heights to a room. If you look at a space and everything is kind of on the same height, it will feel unbalanced and lack interest. Watch what happens when we shorten the shelves and remove the artwork. Suddenly it doesn't look as good, does it? The room still has beautiful pieces, but it's just not that interesting anymore. Removing the lamp makes an even greater impact. Oh, can we just take a quick second to appreciate how amazing Photoshop is? It's honestly so fun to remove objects, change elements, and even add new ones. I use it all the time for my personal projects to help me visualize how things are gonna look like before I make any purchase. I thank my 15-year-old self for learning Photoshop to touch up my emo pictures. Since then, I've been using it for a lot of different purposes. And if you like to try things out in your space as well, but don't want to spend years of your life trying to figure Photoshop out by yourself, I got you covered. You can use the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and so much more. Skillshare can help you take your career, hobbies, passions, and even your side hustle to the next level. It has so many cool classes related to design and creativity, including complete courses on interior design concepts and even a specific Photoshop for interior design course that I just finished taking, and it made my life so much easier, I'm telling you. And since 2025 is just getting started, why not add to your New Year's resolution list the habit of exercising your creativity? Just like a muscle, creativity can be improved with practice. So the more you exercise and build your craft, the more you grow in any creative discipline that excites you. So make sure to check the link in the description, because the first 500 people to use it will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys for checking them out. It really helps support the channel and my work. Now let's talk about color. The first thing that I noticed here is how earthy this palette is. The room is mainly neutral, with beige walls and wooden floors. The main colorful element will be this rich green sofa, but many decor pieces also have color, especially this vibrant art piece, which is fun and contrasts with the more serious tone of the rest of the room. The red touches bring a lot of character and speak well to the warm tones throughout, and also to the green of the sofa. Speaking of warm tones, this is an important aspect of this design. Basically, every color used here, including the neutrals, has a warm undertone. And except for the contrasting art piece, nothing is too bright. This creates a cohesive look. Watch how a different undertone on the sofa changes the room. Some people will still find this beautiful, but it definitely changes the vibe of the room, making it even more creative. Same thing for this throw here. If we used bright blue instead of this muted orange, it instantly changes the vibe of the room. So, color is super important. Using the same undertone and color intensity throughout the room makes it look more cohesive, and it's also easier to work with. Whereas mixing cool and warm undertones and adding brighter elements will make the room feel less classic and more creative. And it can be harder to get right as well, because the contrasting elements should be used as accent pieces, and they can often feel out of place if they're not well thought out. Now moving on to another very important factor, the decor pieces. Styling shelves and other surfaces can be a real challenge. And while I will not dive deep into this topic on this video, I have to mention how important decor pieces are to the overall design. Most of us, regular people who don't live in staged homes, won't have like this collection of perfectly curated decorative objects, and that's completely fine. But we should still pay attention to what is on display, or it can ruin the vibe we're aiming for our room. Watch what happens if instead of this unique artwork and stylish sculptures, this room had generic art and accessories. I didn't even change the ones on the shelves, and it already made the room look way less interesting. So, while it's absolutely fine to display personal items, pictures, books, avoid generic art and accessories. It's better to gradually add more curated pieces instead of buying everything all at once on a trip to IKEA if you want your room to feel more intentional. Now we have to talk about furniture. There are 3 aspects here that I'd like to mention, and they are all related: texture, uniqueness, and diversity. First, notice how many different textures we have in this room. Specifically from the furniture pieces, we have a velvety sofa, a boucle chair, this textured upholstery on the lounge, the marble on the coffee table and shelves, and, of course, lots of wood as well. Texture is such an important aspect in interior design, and it really makes a room feel more interesting. But texture is not the only thing that stands out here. Notice how each piece is unique in this space. We don't have a matching pair of sofas or chairs. We don't have a wooden coffee table to match the media unit or the shelves. If a room is too matchy-matchy, it will feel less intentional and curated. So consider combining furniture pieces of different styles together instead of buying a matching set. Look what happens if all the seating was green velvet and the coffee table was also made of wood to match the other elements. Lastly, another thing that contributes to the sophistication of this room is how some of the furniture also double as art pieces or have a unique shape. Take the chair and the coffee table. Such unique pieces that go beyond their function, but also add visual interest to the room. Look how a different choice of chair and coffee table completely changes the vibe. So while these elements that I mentioned don't make an extensive list of what exactly makes this room look this good, they certainly play a very important role. Now let's look at another example. Another beautiful living room with lots of interesting elements. Can you notice some of the principles that we identified on the previous example here? Notice how each piece of furniture is one of a kind. No matchy-matchy vibe going on here. This brown leather sofa, like many other pieces in this living room, is from a famous designer. And it's definitely unique. But watch what happens if the other chairs were also from the same line. Again, by themselves, very interesting. But altogether, suddenly the room doesn't feel as creative and curated anymore. Same goes for the different materials and textures used. Here we have leather on the sofa, the white upholstery on the lounge chair at the back, some metal from the legs of this chair and other details, marble on the coffee table and fireplace, more natural materials here on the shades, and some wood, of course. So again, same principle of variety of materials and textures applied here. I also have to mention the accessories and decorative pieces. Watch what happens if this living room didn't have any. It looks more like a furniture store now, in my opinion. Accessories can really bring a room to life and give your personal touch to the space. Now, did you notice the wall and ceiling moldings? They are more easily found in older homes, where interiors were more detailed and classic, but they can also be added intentionally to a new construction. I love this as an alternative to plain white walls. It's a clever way to add more interest and some more texture to a room. Now, one very important element that is often overlooked is window coverings. In this example, they used Roman blinds in this very natural, organic fabric. And although they are simpler than curtains, the choice of material and color makes all the difference. Watch how the room changes if we used those common zebra roller shades in white. This is a great example of how thinking about the aesthetic and feel of an element rather than just its functional is the magic of interior design. This living room is also a great example of intentional lighting. In a single room, we have the pendant light in the center, 2 table lamps, and 1 floor lamp. Not to mention the other pendant above the dining table that can also be seen from this angle. And although I couldn't find pictures of this room at night, I can assure you it looks very cozy and inviting because of all these different light sources. So don't be afraid to use several different lamps in one single space. Instead of just using the overhead lights, it will make all the difference. Are there any other elements that you think I've missed here that I should have mentioned? Feel free to let me know in the comments. This was a fun exercise. I really enjoyed making this video. Hopefully it was helpful. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to see more home decor related content. And don't forget to check out Skillshare using the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.